Hello and welcome to another Chinese tech review. Today we're looking at the ECOO Aurora, a Chinese phone with 4G LTE equipped. ECOO isn't the most famous brand out there, but sometime last year they made some waves by claiming they would make the cheapest full HD octa-core phone ever, which they eventually did, but by the time it came out there were phones available for not much more money with much more attractive specs. So the phone wasn't that much of a success. After that they released another cheap octa-core full HD phone which had slightly better specs but still wasn't that attractive for customers. So but now they're back. They were one of the first to announce a 64-bit phone back when the 64-bit chipsets from MediaTek were just being announced. And now it's here. It's been out for not that long, I believe a month or something that it has been out internationally. But now it's here, and we're going to take a look at it. Firstly, we can look at the box, which isn't that informative. It has the slogan on the back, everything we do makes your life easier. I guess that's good. The logo again, that's pretty much it. Very anonymous box. So let's take out the insides. Right here we have the phone over here. What do we get with it? Right here we have the data and charger cable, and over here we have the charging plug. So yeah, always handy. That's empty. Right here there's the phone in a small baggie. Let's take that out. What else do we have here? A user manual, but we don't read this. We know how a phone works. And a spare screen protector, which is nice. Oh, by the way, I bought this phone from the nice folks at pandawill.com. I'll put a store link in the description down there, so you know where to get the phone. And yeah, shipping was decent. It was like 2.5 weeks until it was here. Didn't get any custom tax, even though I took the insurance for custom taxes. So even if I had incurred them, they claim they would have paid them back. I don't know now because I didn't get any. But anyway, they provided me with the option and I took it. So let's look at this phone right now. It's a 5.5-inch phone. Let's just go over the specs real quickly. I'll put them over there so you can read them while I talk about them. We're working with a 5.5-inch full HD screen. That's 1920 on 1080. We've got a 16 megapixel camera in the back and an 8 megapixel camera in the front, which is very nice. 16 megapixels is something that I like to see. It's more than the usual 13 we see on most cheap China phones. Working with a 64-bit chipset, the MTK 6752. If I'm not mistaken, it runs at 1.7 gigahertz. We have got 2 gigabytes of RAM, although I have a small note about this. Right now there is a 3 gigabyte version available, which costs, you wouldn't believe it, exactly as much as a 2 gigabyte version. Now this is the 2 gigabyte version. There isn't any difference between the two phones except for the amount of RAM. So if you're looking at this phone right now, you're going to buy it, please don't make the mistake of buying the 2 gigabyte version now. Just go for the 3 gigabyte version. It's exactly the same price, unless, I don't know, maybe some resellers might be doing some reductions right now to get rid of the 2 gigabyte versions. So yeah, you have to see if they're a lot cheaper, then you can go with the 2 gigabyte version just fine, because you won't be running out of RAM anytime soon if you're not some kind of Bitcoin mining person or something. I'm just joking there. Nobody mines Bitcoins on their phone. We've got 2 gigabytes of RAM and 16 gigabytes of storage, which is expandable with a memory card. I don't know how much. I think it goes up to 64 gigabytes. And we've got 4G LTE on this phone, which is always nice. It's equipped in all the 64-bit MediaTek phones. We've got a fingerprint scanner right here. And we've got some air gestures which don't completely function. Those are some of the features. Those are pretty much the specs. So with that out of the way, I think we can start going through our usual routine and start off looking at the design a bit. Okay, so on with the design. Now the phone is slightly reminiscent of the Samsung Galaxy line of phones, what with the button over here and the slightly rounded edges. But overall, it's a pretty original design. The last few phones that ECOO put out were blatant rip-offs of the Galaxy S5, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a step in the right direction. It's got some nice touches here and there. Like for instance the fake, it's all plastic all around, so no metal, even though it looks like metal from the sides, it's all plastic. Let's look a little. It's a very light phone. If I have to compare it to other phones of this size that I have held up until now, this is one of the lighter phones I have come across. So if you're like me and you like some weight on your phones, then you know that might be a slight inconvenience. But the back is nicely textured. It's got some kind of checkerboard pattern on it, and it feels rather nice. The logo is I don't know, it feels like it's stuck on there, but that's probably not. It's probably part of the plastic, but it doesn't feel that high quality. So yeah, it's not a problem, but it's a slight niggle I have with it. Let's just go around the phone to see what we're working with. Both the USB jack and the audio jack are on the top of the phone. That's nice. Over on this side, it's completely clean. Down here we have 2 speaker holes, but you have been misled because there's only one speaker, and I think it's this one. This grill over here is just there for, I don't know, symmetrical purposes. So there really isn't any sound coming from here. When it's playing sound, you can safely put your thumb over there and the sound will be exactly the same. That's not to say that the sound is bad, because it isn't. Right here we have the microphone hole. Right here we have the volume rocker and the power button. It's pretty standard. Over on the front we have a nice pane of glass with you know, the light sensor over here, proximity sensor, the camera. And right here we have the home button / fingerprint sensor, which senses your fingerprints. On the back we have the camera and the dual LED flash. And some, I don't know if these are legit, I don't know if these have been rated by any of these instances. But what you can believe is that you shouldn't put this in the garbage. So yeah, it's a pretty standard design, no crazy design choices here. Except for, you know, the completely unnecessary extra speaker hole. So that's pretty much it for the design. Let's turn this thing on and see how the UI looks. So, I've turned it on. Startup takes about 20 seconds or something. It's decent. And right off the bat, we see we're working with a very standard Android installation. We've got the known and trusted lock screen here, with which you can go straight to phone, messages, camera, or unlock, which we're going to do right now. And right here we see the launcher, the home screen, which isn't all that amazing, I have to say. Well, it's pretty standard. But all the icons have some sort of rounded theme going on. So even when you install apps, like over here, Facebook, it gets a border around it, which creates the rounded look. I'm not a big fan of it, but you know, there's loads and loads and loads and loads of custom launchers, which you can customize to your own needs. So if you don't like this, then you can change it to something else. So yeah, right here we have the app drawer, which has apps in it. Press the home button. Right here we have the, you know, the editing page in which you can edit your pages. You can change the wallpaper, add some widgets, or go straight to settings. There have been almost no adjustments apart from the theming thing to the Android installations. We can see this when we go to settings, for example. It's a very normal settings page. Well, the icons have some kind of coloring going on. That's pretty nice. What else is there to say about this? So yeah, we can look at the settings a bit. Right here we see Hotnot. Hotnot is a MediaTek's answer to NFC. So instead of holding the backs of your phones to each other, you hold the screens against each other to transfer data. Now the thing is that only MediaTek phones have this. Ergo, only Chinese phones have this. So if you're lucky enough to have a friend who has a Chinese phone who has this thing, this Hotnot in his phone, which is even in Chinese phones pretty rare, if I have to say it, well then you can transfer data. Other than that, it's pretty useless. So yeah, what else do we have? We have the standard settings here, audio profiles, blah blah blah, developer options. So yeah, we know all of this. Well yeah, we have the gallery app, for example. Let's take a look at that. But then again, it's the well-known gallery app, which, oh yeah, that's something I have to talk about. I'm going to turn that off because I'm going to talk about this later, but like the Yumi Zero before it, we have a developer who attempted air gestures on their phone and it didn't work. I'm going to turn them off here. That's the air gesture thing. So yeah, they've tried it and it doesn't really work. Maybe they fix it in a further update, but just don't use it for now. So yeah, back to the gallery app. So yeah, you can see it's the normal gallery app. The camera app is, I don't know if there's anything changed with it because I haven't used the 4.4 camera app in a long time. But yeah, this looks pretty standard, but what I liked is that it had these effects going on. So you can add some effects to your camera, like this posterizing effect, or you know, some monocolor, some whiteboard effects, which isn't pretty nice. So yeah, I don't know if that's standard or not. I don't think it is. But yeah, that's nice if you're into those kind of artsy pictures. Apart from that, well, there have been some, not really changes, but more additions by ECOO to the Aurora, to the operating system. For instance, we have the Smart Wake, which is always nice. I think it's somewhere over here. Yeah, so you can see we get some options to, you know, to wake the phone up smartly, like for instance, double-clicking on the screen to light it up, upwards to unlock. Let me just show you some of these. For instance, we can do this, get a nice animation, and boom, we're inside the phone. Of course, that doesn't work when you're protecting your phone with a pattern or something. So yeah, we have draw M to play songs, we have draw E to wake browser, blah blah blah. You know all of this. You can turn some off, you can turn some on. For instance, slide down to go straight to camera. Let's lock this thing again. See a nice line, and it opens up the camera. Not instantly, but nevertheless it opens it up. Also, we have something really nice. I've mentioned it earlier. We have a fingerprint sensor right here, so we can go to the acquisition and deletion of the fingerprints. Now this finger is not mine, it's someone else's, so I can't touch this right now, but I can add another finger. So it tells me to add a finger. I have to swipe my finger over the sensor a few times so we can register it. Let's just clean that thing up and see if I can do this from the first try. So you see it's registering it. Ugh, I failed. It isn't that easy to do right. So it didn't work the first time. Come on. Oh my god. This isn't easy, people. Okay, let's try this the last time. Okay, so it isn't working. I think my finger is a bit sweaty. So let me just cheat a bit and use this finger for the middle finger, which should go a little faster because that finger isn't that sweaty. See, yeah. First time. You see, so it isn't really the fault of the sensor, it's more the fault of my finger for being really clammy. This finger was okay. So I can then select what I want to do with that finger. For instance, let's just pick screen unlock. Or no, let's pick something more creative, like for instance, Let's open the dialer with that finger. Now we see the telephone icon right there. And so now when we go back and we activate the finger unlock thing, we have to choose a backup pattern. So if your finger gets chopped off or something, you can still get into your phone. So I've confirmed this pattern, so it's like a backup thing. Let's just lock the phone right now. And when we try to unlock it, you see they're asking for my finger. Now I can just take this finger over the sensor. Oh, it didn't work the first time. Oh, there we go. And now I'm into the dialer right away. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Of course, right now you saw that I fumbled a few times. Well, that's also because I'm doing this through the screen of the thing that I'm filming with. So I can't really see what I'm doing, and sometimes I only go over the sensor halfway. It works really well, actually. I was surprised. I was thinking for such a cheap phone that would be just a gimmick and it wouldn't work that well, but it does. It really does work well. You can really quickly just... It works nicely. You can... Whoop, and you're inside again. See, though, if you're one of those, security freaks who really like to keep their things private, then by all means that works. I'll just go back to sliding, so I don't need to do this every time the phone locks on me. So yeah, that's pretty much all the additions in the UI department. Let's go on by looking at the performance a bit. Okay, so let's check the performance right now. As you know, we're working with an octa-core 64-bit chipset, but as you've also seen, we're not in Android 5.0, we're in Android 4.4. So yeah, that 64-bit part isn't really taken advantage of yet. But since 5.0 is coming, you can expect performance for this chipset to go up when we're in Lollipop, because Lollipop has 64-bit support, 4.4 doesn't. So this is just an in-between kind of benchmark. We will see how this improves when Lollipop drops, but the performance is very decent, so don't by any chance think that this is a weak phone because of it. Let's just jump right in. Let's go to my favorite benchmarking application, the AnTuTu benchmark. Also the most used application. It says test, we want to test, so let's press test. So there you have it, 40,325, which is pretty good. I think it gets better though. I've seen better scores for this phone. I know maybe I have to do some optimizations. I think I've had some programs running, but that is a pretty well score. This chipset is on par, if not sometimes better, than the current Snapdragon 801. My own Oppo Find 7 only gets around 38,000. So that is a very respectable score. I think we can check out details to look at the scores. I'm not going to go by them one by one, but you can pause the video and check out for yourself if you so wish. So yeah, and since benchmarks aren't everything, let's check out some things. Let's just look at CPU-Z real quick so we can take a gander at the specifications. So right here we see the octa-core processor. We see it goes up to 1.7 megahertz. Not much useful information here. Right here we have the model name, the name of the processor, 4.4.4. So yeah, there's all this stuff. That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I didn't mention the battery is 3000 milliamp hours. So that's decent enough when you look at the average right around now is 2800 or something. So that's a decent battery size, at least for a screen this big too. Let's take a look at a graphical application, Epic Citadel, which is nice enough to check out how powerful it gets. Might be able to use some better focus. So here we can see this is a very nice frame rate. For instance, I can take the benchmark, and then right here you can see, well, with 60 being the maximum, this is a very nice frame rate indeed. This is full HD. I didn't take the highest settings. The highest settings get around 30-ish frame rate. But yeah, you can see if it runs Epic Citadel close to 60, it runs most anything close to 60. I don't think there's many applications out there that are much more demanding than this Unreal Engine demo. So yeah, you can see if we're going out here, frame rates stay very smooth, very stable. It doesn't get much better than this. So yeah, I would like to exit the app. So this is a perfect device for gaming and whatnot. If you like 3D gaming, if you like you know, heavy applications emulating Nintendo 64, PSP emulation, this will work just fine. Also, the CPU side is really MediaTek did a really good job with the GPU this time. In other MTK chipsets, the GPU was always the bottleneck, while right now they have done a pretty good job with the GPU, and the CPU is really powerful. Well, we're working with an octa-core here, so it better be. So yeah, for most heavy applications, this is a great device. That is pretty much it for performance. So right now, let's look at some features and niggles, some stuff I do like and some stuff I don't like. Okay, so let's talk about some of the features and niggles, some of the stuff I do like, some of the stuff I don't like. Let's start with the good stuff. The camera is really nice. It's got a 16 megapixel camera in the back. I'll show some samples while I'm talking about this. The 16 megapixel camera is one of the only things that this phone has, on which this phone has a leg up to its main competitor, which is the Jiayu S3. The Jiayu S3 is a very similar phone, same chipset, same amount of RAM, same screen. All those things are very similar, and they also cost exactly the same. There are a tiny few differences, one of which is the fact that the ECOO has a better screen, has a better camera than the Jiayu. The Jiayu has a standard 13 megapixel camera that most China phones under $200 have, while the ECOO has a 16 megapixel sensor, which was a really nice touch. Pictures come out really nicely, so that's always good. Also, the fingerprint reading feature is very nice. It works wonders. It works very quickly after you've registered your fingerprint. It goes really fast. You can just, swipe your finger very quickly across it and it registers it. There's no, in earlier fingerprint readers you really had to rub your finger across the sensor really slowly, or well, not really slowly, but for at least a second or something for it to get a good read. And this one works really fast, which is nice for a phone this cheap. I'm also happy to say this is one of the first, or rather the first, MediaTek powered phone in which the GPS works flawlessly. I went outside, waited for 20 seconds to get the first read. This is without assisted GPS, so probably when I would have taken assisted GPS it would have been more like 5 or 4 seconds. But I did it device only, so yeah, it got a first read pretty quickly, and after that, subsequent localizations with the GPS went around 4 or 3 seconds until it got a lock on me. I'll show a sample from the GPS test screen on the video if that's possible. I got around 3 meters accuracy, which is as good as it gets. So yeah, way back when, people used to say if you want a decent GPS, then don't go with a MediaTek phone. But right now, I'm happy to say that you can safely go with a phone with the MTK 6752 if you want a nicely working GPS. What else? The 4G LTE on this phone, I think it's activated. You can see that right over here. Focus isn't working perfectly, but well enough. Anyway, the 4G works really quickly. It works faster than Wi-Fi sometimes. I'll just turn it on for a bit so we can look at how it works. See how fast we get a lock. Oh, we already got it. So if I just go to the browser and I browse to whatever, you see we've got a read very quickly. For instance, we can go to, I don't know, I don't want to be advertising for any stores here. So let's just go to /dot or something, /dot.org. See this on 4G. We've got a really quick connection. Page is already completely loaded. So yeah, you see that the data connection works very well. Let's turn Wi-Fi on again because I don't need all these costs. So yeah, those are most of the features that I do like a lot. For the rest, it's just a standard Android phone, not many extra features. Let's look at some of the stuff that I don't really like. The smart wake gestures that I showed earlier are all locked into place, with which I want to say that, for instance, right here we see draw Z to open torch and draw V to wake video player. On my own phone, I often use V to open the torch, but I can't change that here. I can just turn this off or on. I can't change the letter or the gesture that I want to use to perform that action, which was a little bit of a downer. It's not a big problem, not at all, but you know, it would be nice to choose your own gestures to do this kind of stuff instead of being locked to a single gesture that you have to do. What else do we see? Also, I talked about this a little earlier. We have the hot knot thing going on here, which is MediaTek's answer to NFC. I would have much rather seen NFC than this because I don't know anyone else who has hot knot on their phone. The phone is not for me, it's for someone else, but even though that person, I think, doesn't know anyone either who has a MediaTek phone, not a lot of people in Western countries will have a MediaTek phone to do your hot knot business with, so it's pretty much useless around here. It's nice that it has it, you know, an added feature that works is nice, but it's pretty useless. Also, when we're doing heavy stuff like playing Epic Citadel earlier, if you do that for longer than like 20 minutes, the phone gets really hot. It's manifested mostly right here. The camera, see that focus working. The camera over here gets really hot when we're playing heavy duty games, so that's probably mostly a problem with a heatsink somewhere or something. It's outputting all its heat from around here. Now that's not a problem, nothing is going to break. It doesn't get ridiculously hot, but it does get warm, so that's too bad. But that's, you know, that's not a big problem. All phones get warm when you're playing games on them. That's not this is not an exception, but you know, most phones get warm uniformly, so it gets less hot. While this here over here, the warmth is really centered around this part. Also, one thing that I'd like to talk about is the air gesture feature, which we've seen earlier. It doesn't work very well. Right here we have it's called direct for some reason. You know, we have these you can answer the phone by holding it up to your ear and stuff like that. You can wave in front of the device to change the launcher pages and to change pictures, but as you'll see, that doesn't work very well. For instance, right now, you see I'm going in front of it and it isn't doing anything even though I turned it on. I'm pretty sure I turned it on. No, doing the wrong thing again. Right here, direct. Yeah, painting one phone in launcher, waving a palm. Launcher will automatically paging. The English on this page is really bad. But yeah, that's to be expected. But for instance, let's go into the gallery to see if we can... You see, I'm not doing anything. And it's just waving through the pictures. See, it's fighting me. See, I'm not doing anything in front of the proximity sensor. And yet it's doing this stuff. So that's not working very well. I'm not the person who uses air gestures a lot, but you know, some people might, and then it's too bad that it doesn't work correctly. That is pretty much it. Well, for a conclusion, this is a very well-performing phone. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's I think I got it for $190. No, wait, I got it on a small sale at Pandawil, so I got it for $180, which is an even better price. This is a very good Jiayu S3 alternative. If you're, you know, like me, you're into the underdogs mostly, and ECOO is very clearly the underdog here. So it's a very decent phone. I mean, for that price, it doesn't get much better. You've got the Jiayu S3, and then, well, you've got some other MTK 6752 phones, but this is really one of the better alternatives. We've got a very nice camera here. I know a camera is important for a lot of people. We've got the fingerprint sensor too. Lollipop is coming, which will make this phone a lot more attractive once it's here. I think there's already a temporary build out there for the 3GB version of this phone. So you can, if you want, you can already try out Lollipop if you buy the 3GB version. I guess that's pretty much it. So all in all, it's a decent phone. There's no real problems with it. It's a very decent phone, very good specs, very good performance, very nice price. So yeah, here we have it. Just a small note I like to make here. People keep commenting on my YouTube videos, but since I don't have a Google Plus account, I'll be having a hard time replying to them. So if you have any questions, please comment on the linked Reddit post that I will put in the description. There I can answer all your questions about this phone. And be sure, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them. So yeah, ECOO Aurora E04, buy it or don't. Kill64 out.